we're looking at managing diversity and person perception in this module. And so I wanted to talk about two big lessons in organizational behavior and how they inform us about how we should go about managing diversity. And so what are these two big lessons? The first big lesson is that human beings are less than perfect in processing information and making decisions. And we know this. I mean, again, that's no duh. But we discover it in some unpredictable ways. And, when we think about things like prejudice, that we are prejudiced because of something that's not related to how someone will perform on the job, what their race is or what their sex is or what their age is. Those things don't affect how a person performs on a job, and so they shouldn't bias our decisions about people. And so that's wrong, and we know that, but why do people do it? And what we're discovering, or what we've discovered over the last couple decades in psychology, is that part of the reason that people are prejudiced is because of unconscious, almost automatic reactions that they have, that people aren't always aware of their prejudices, and yet they behave in ways that are very prejudiced. And so we have to come to that fundamental understanding, and then we have to work out ways to overcome those prejudices. And how do we do that? Well, the second big lesson that organization behavior teaches us is that situations affect behavior of people more than their predispositions do. And this is actually good news for managers out there. And the big lesson I take from this is, don't try and change people, change the situation that surrounds people. So if we have an issue, we know people are prejudiced in ways that maybe they're not even aware of, but that they certainly behave that way, then we need to enact processes to help them to either avoid or overcome those prejudices. And we have this in a number of ways in HR systems, and our EEO laws encourage us to create structures that help us to avoid some of the prejudices that we have. And yet we still see them come through. A good manager needs to take the structural elements of things like how do we hire fairly and within EEO very seriously. And in my experience as both as a consultant, internal and external in organizations regarding HR manners, I find that oftentimes it's very senior people who just know that they've got a gut instinct on who's the best person to hire, who's not a good person to hire, that those people are the most misguided and need the most help. And are most afraid to admit that their biases, and they need to follow the rules about structuring questions so you don't, off the top of your head, ask questions that are biased towards a person, or to interpret things like resumes and not look for things that would bias them against candidates that have nothing to do with the job. And so it's very important, I think, that managers take these processes very, very seriously. I also think that, another way that we can initiate structure goes back to evidence-based management. Are we managing diversity well? Well, we have to look at the numbers. What are the facts? And if the facts tell us that we're not having equal opportunity for all different groups of people, then we have to look at ourselves and say, wait a second, this isn't working. And so evidence-based management is a way for us to structure a situation and say, hey, let's look at data and see how this is affecting us. So take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye.